This is being recorded and will be uploaded to Middletown Council YouTube page. The aim is that decision making should be transparent and the public in the public domain, which will involve more than our community in the local democracy. By being in this council chamber, you are consenting to be recorded and for your image to be added to the YouTube. Images and sound may be used for training purposes. Any views expressed on the speaker's own and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Town Council. Please review the guidance on recording of public meetings policy if you need any more information. Right, so quality is the same. Declarations of interest, disclosures of pecuniary. Are there any? No. Any ordinary ones? Other interests? To approve and sign the minutes of the Recreation and Amenities Committee meeting held on 7th of February 2024. May I do that?
12th March.
12th. Oh, sorry.
Were you here then?
No, the last one first, and then the other one is the 7th of February. May I do that? Thank you.
Yes. Was he?
Yeah, all done. So. We received the notes of the Transport Working Group meeting held on the Wednesday, the 7th of February. Can we do that? No, I think we'll take them. Can we take them as read, please? Okay. Yep. To receive a verbal update on the number 93, Bush Ride meeting by the Transport Working Group. If I was it. Mr. Councillor, do you want to fill in on that one?
Well, I will at short notice, yes.
Yeah.
I was one of the 8 members of the group who rode the 93 service. There weren't a lot of other passengers that day as the weather was somewhat inclement. Really, I think there were 2 or perhaps 3 particular issues that struck me that other members had noticed. One was people were surprised at, if you like, the extent of the route. They thought it was some people thought it was a simple loop around Biddulph, and the reality is that it isn't. It's, it's more tortuous. It tries to cover more places than they previously thought. And I thought that was good that was realised. Another point was that in some areas, parts of the route, there aren't many bus stops, formal bus stops. This is particularly in Park Lane. But the operator, that is D&G in this case, registers all their services so that they can be operated on a hail and ride basis. And that addresses the issue. But there's a feeling that perhaps the public doesn't realise this, and perhaps we could publicise it a little bit more. I mean, it does give people who are not regular bus users some confidence to see a bus stop. So there's a little bit of a barrier to be broken down for hail and ride until people prove it for themselves that it does actually work. And the third point was, I thought it was an opportunity to proudly show off Biddulph's 2 new formal bus stops. These are located at the northern end of the bypass, one in each direction of travel, and are served by the 94 service to Congleton in either direction. And one of the stops is served by the 93 local service in both its directions, would you believe? It might not be that apparent to the public, that slightly complicated situation. I'm not sure quite how we publicise that, whether it's putting timetables on the stops themselves I wonder, someone complained that it doesn't say on the stop sign, the services, but nowhere does it in Staffordshire say on the stop signs, the services. So we can't really complain that that's been sort of ill-served in that regard relative to the rest of the county. Those are my observations. I welcome any others.
Thank you. Councillor Rogers.
Just a thought on that one very quickly. If you were standing at the bus stop, the new bus stop for North High Street, Northern Bypass, and the Carlton bus come down, you put your hand up. It is a bus stop. Would it stop for you?
And on which side of the road are you?
Well, heading towards Carlton.
Yeah, it
It
would.
would. It is stop for any bus.
Well, it's on its route and it's a bus stop.
I just
You're a
thought
passenger.
about it after seeing the signs. Yeah, but you said it's not just for a designated bus, it's for any bus, any company.
Yes.
Okay, so I want
Will there be any others, but there's only one route that actually goes in that direction along the bypass of that.
Okay, as long as it's for any company, yeah.
Councillor Harper.
Yeah, must be many, many years since I've been on a bus. So when you mention this hail and whatever, is this why you flag the bus down?
Yes,
Yes.
Right.
the driver will stop if he or she considers it safe to do so.
Fine. So at what stage do you pay your fare then? I mean, is it the full
On boarding.
onboarding?
But many people, in all honesty, either pay cashless or have got a pass of some kind. So fare taking is much quicker than it used to be perhaps when you last rode.
Yeah. Does that bus service run when the children are going to school?
All the main bus services in Biddulph run to the same timetable, whether or not it's school holiday.
Right, so school kids could jump on, basically.
It's school time, yes.
Yeah, great stuff. That's all I really want to know.
Councillor Jackson and then Councillor Yates.
Yeah, I went on that, and what surprised me is how noisy that bus is. Really, you just gotta be yourself thinking. Now, that might have something to do with the state of the roads, but I don't know. But it did sound very, very noisy. But I do think the hail and ride thing, somehow or other, you're gonna tell me in front of your injuries. But we need to do something, we need to actually highlight that, because I do think the general public don't realise that facility is there. It was an interesting day out, and it's a long time since I've been on a bus as well, Cal. They don't have conductors on them anymore.
Remember the ticket machine?
Thank you very, very much. I used to work for a firm that made tickets for conductors.
Yeah.
And I think their original machine that they used was made in about 1934. Was one of the more modern machines in the factory, actually. But that's a different matter. Councillor Yates.
Did you make that particular machine?
I was just gonna say.
No, I did not. No, somebody else did, probably in Birmingham somewhere.
I did ask Highway at my DHP meeting, what was the rationale for painting very expensive yellow bus stop lines on the two new shiny bus stops, Meadows Way, as the resurfacing of the whole of Meadows Way is going to take place on the 16th of May, and surely they've got to burn those signs off. And they said, we didn't know there was any bus stops there. It's nothing to do with us. It turns out that the bus team have a separate budget for interfering with my highways. So obviously the work which is being done is going to be temporarily undone and redone again, which to me is not the most cost-effective way.
Thank you, Councillor Yates. It's full of useful information. Thank you. It was, I think, a very useful thing. Councillor Jones, you wish to speak?
Just quickly, yeah, I just want to say it was interesting. I agree with Councillor Jackson. I did find the thing quite uncomfortable. It's probably because it's quite a short bus. The bigger buses are quite bad at that.
Dear me, see.
I just want to thank Sarah really for organising it.
Thank you very much.
I had a bus pass, but I think Sarah paid on block for most of us. Like it was like a school trip, and I just wanted to thank Sarah for not losing any of us.
Though she might well hand. That refers that she might want to lose one or two of us. Indeed. I also have a bus pass, Councillor Jones, as well. Very, very useful.
Good day.
I use it mainly so I can actually cast my vote because it's one of the acceptable forms of identification. Yes, so thank you very much.
Can I just say, Chair, I think all the work that this gentleman to my right has done on the bus routes, etc., is fantastic. And we should accept the fact that he has gone above and beyond, quite frankly, organising these routes and what have you. And thank you very much. Even I will get a bus pass.
Glad to hear it, sir. Thank you very
Well
much.
done. Very well.
It's fairly easy. You go to the library, a guy takes a photograph of you, and about 14 days later, it turns up.
Oh, how much?
Nothing.
You can do
Thank
it.
you very much. So you're going to move on and, right, item 76, to receive response to the complaint made about ambulance service provision. You've all got that
Yeah,
information.
so everybody's had that in their packs. So as you're aware from previous meeting, we had cause to provide first aid to a gentleman who'd fallen on the pavement
Yes.
outside. At the time, we were in no doubt that his life had been saved by the PCSOs who took him in the back of a police car to hospital where he'd torn an artery in his head.
Yes.
And I made a complaint to the West Midlands Ambulance Service because initially when the call was made, they were told that the delay was likely to be 7 hours for him, by which point he would have most certainly died. So I did tell you that when we had a response to this, I would let you see a copy of that, and I've included that in your packs. Essentially, I think in summary, they were very busy. I think that's the gist of their response, unless
Yes.
anybody has any other questions or anything they'd like me to bring up.
Councillor Jones.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Well, I've read the response and it's as you'd expect. It's the usual excuses. It's not our fault, it's the hospital's fault. The sad thing is that the whole ambulance, well, I think the NHS generally were a bit of a chuckle earlier on about the hospital declaring a major incident. They've been in a major incident situation pretty much for about the last 3 or 4 years. And since this incident, this horrible incident outside here, where there's no doubt in my mind that those 2 PCSOs saved that chap's life. No doubt in my mind whatsoever. There was another one in Leek where a lady had fell and she'd waited hours and hours and hours on the garden path in the rain. And if it wasn't for the fire service turned up to lift her and get her in a car, she'd probably still be there. The ambulance service is broken and it's the same platitudes and excuses all the time. We are working as hard as we can to bring it to account at Leek, and that's all I can really say. But it's in the meantime, I say don't be ill. It's awful, awful situation that we're in.
Perhaps the new government will sort it out.
Councillor Jack.
The Chief Executive of West Midlands Ambulance Service might go some way to sorting it out. That's my own opinion.
Yeah.
Right,
When I,
councillor Jackson.
yeah, thank you, Chair. When I read this letter, I was reading through it, I thought, I wonder how many times she's used this statement. How much of this letter is cut and paste? And then the individuals, you know, the individual stuff that's like squeezed in between. And that's the feeling I got. Whether that's the case, I don't know. But that's the feeling I got when I did. And Councillor Jones is 100% correct. The ambulance service is severely damaged. And it just seems, I don't know, police not working right, ambulance is not working right, NHS not, well, I'm not getting political anyway, shape.
Oh, why not?
But it-
Why not?
But it just seems as though everything that this government touches turns to a pile of.
But before I go on to councillor Holsworth, I attend the district nurses service, and things like scissors, they don't send them to a central sterile services department. They don't recycle them. They throw them away in the bin. They're one-use items. And apparently there's a lot of things like that. The stuff that the paramedics use, that's all thrown away. There's no central sterile services department as there was 25, 30 years ago. So I'm going to bring in Councillor Holsworth.
I want to be positive. We have had reason to call the ambulance out to our property twice. And on each occasion, I think they were there within 20 minutes. So that's a positive.
Thank you for that, Councillor Holsworth. Councillor Jones, you wish to come back?
Just quickly on that. Well, I'm pleased for you, Alan, I really am, but it really is a lottery. It really is a lot. When people were having strokes and heart attacks and massive, can't get an ambulance any time of fashion, the system is broken. And sometimes you'll be lucky, depending on the time of day, but most times you won't.
We will look at.
Well, you probably will.
I've got-
Just say, Chair, you just stress,
Yes.
I'm sure, and everybody will agree with me, we are not criticising the road staff.
No.
Not at all. It's the management sticking to dogmatic policies that don't work.
Two further speakers on this. I've got councillor Garvey and then the mayor. You want to finish off? Councillor Garvey?
Thank you, Chair. I must say, having read this letter, I'm incredibly disappointed that they're trotting out the same pitiful excuse of blaming it on somebody else. It's not our fault, it's the hospital's fault. I'm sorry, it doesn't wash. We have a recent Freedom of Information request for data on the ambulance service. And we can see from that data that's been provided that the only areas that actually get anywhere near to the 7-minute average response time for category ones are the centres actually either have the hospital or an ambulance. Basically, your ST3, your ST4, and whatever the ST postcode code is for staff of an ambulance centre. Everywhere else, there are at least 10, 12 minutes average. And in some of the more rural areas, particularly going out towards East Staffordshire and on the edges of the Staffordshire moorlands, it's 14 minutes, double the time, that's the average. Councillor Holdsworth, you've been lucky. I've been lucky in a recent call for an ambulance, but we are the exception. The vast majority of people within our district, within our town, are being let down by the current policies of the ambulance service, specifically the dogmatic approach to keeping only ambulances at a very limited number of locations to remove the local rapid response vehicles. And that is the underlying cause of the current crisis that the West Midlands Ambulance Service is in. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Harper, final speaker.
Okay. Yeah, I think part of this crisis that we're in is they make stupid rules where our first responders were forced really to pack in. You know, at this particular time, we need things like people like the first responders. But what happens? They bring in rules that will not allow the first responders to work, basically, and to save lives. So if this is the way, what's his name, the leader of the ambulance service?
Anthony Marsh.
Well, I think it's time Anthony Marsh look for another job, quite frankly.
Let's, not name names.
Oh, no, he's just look for another job, Andrew. You know?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I must point out that the former leader of the district council broke her hip trying to carry her sister who has got dementia, and she was told that the wait after she crawled downstairs to get a phone was 9 hours, and she broke her hip and she had to crawl downstairs. And it was luckily enough neighbours came in to sit with her while she was waiting for the ambulance to come. So that tells you a great deal. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the next agenda item. 77 to receive a report following the internal audit of the town council burial ground. Chief Officer.
Thank you. So one of our compliance and governance officers' roles, and it's a kind of an emerging role as part of something which she's been developing, is to carry out an internal review of our operational services. So the first one that she's done is the burial ground. And we're just playing with this format, really. Make any changes that you think are appropriate, but what we wanted to provide you with tonight is an overview of the process and the things that she's looked at, and to identify some key findings there. So if to just give a brief overview, it's just a one-sheet document, internal review, completed in Q1 2024. So she's looked at 100 interments, notes that there were 100 interments undertaken in 2023, 56 full burials, 44 interments of cremated remains. Described to you there the scope and the purpose of the process that she and Ange have gone through. So we were looking at our processes of internal control, governance, risk management, ensuring that we had adhered to our own processes, making any relevant changes to policies, processes that were necessary. We've considered the finance element of that work, because obviously quite a significant amount of money is generated for the town council from burials, and we've looked at our own promotion and information sharing as regards that through the website and through other pieces of paperwork. And we've looked at things like war memorials and the Commonwealth war graves as well, which form part of this remit. The findings are there. I won't read all of that to you. You've obviously had the opportunity to look at that. And the conclusion is that there's a sound system of governance, risk management and control, and there were no key issues identified. Some actions have been listed, but those sorts of things have been brought to you already, or they will be brought to you as changes over the next few months. So, for example, today you've got the burial ground management policy for your consideration, which includes some of the proposed changes that have come out of that review.
Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, I think, everything seems to be in order and whatever. But just on the 46 unused reserve, have we collated 46 actual names with so we know exactly who? That's one of the biggest mistakes this town council ever did, ever doing that.
Well, it is being rectified.
I do often say that when people phone and say, can they reserve a grave? I say, absolutely
No,
not. That was
no.
the worst thing we ever did.
Yet, dine, nada, none.
Yeah, people have lost paperwork. They've forgotten what the graves were. The burial ground has changed significantly in the past 30 years since we started that process. We have a very clear understanding of whose grave is whose now, which ones have been used, whose paperwork, which paperwork is in place. So we are very clear about that.
When that figure's 0.
Yeah.
Councillor Harper.
Thank you, Chair. I just did the cemetery 2 weeks ago. I'm talking the old part now. And if you imagine that the ashes that the cremated remains are on your left-hand side, and you walk in a southerly direction and then turn to the east and go up about 30 yards. On the right there was a grave, which was just a mound of earth, heavily covered in weeds, etc., and a single stick. Presumably there was a cross there at one time, but part of it's fallen off. I mean, in circumstances like that, can we not level that off? Because it's been left to go to, well, it's just not been tended. So can we not make efforts to find the person, the next of kin or whatever, and then we can if not, we can level that grave.
Yes.
Tell me again where it is. I want.
Right, you got the cremated remains on your left, you go in a southerly direction, you turn to the east at the first junction, and it's about 30 yards on your right-hand side. It's right at the side of the path.
Next to the Grange.
Sorry?
Next to the Grange.
It's not as far as the Grange. Halfway, you can't miss it. You walk up.
On my left.
Yeah, you go in an easterly direction, and the grave is, when you're walking up, the grave is on your right-hand side.
Okay, I think we'll have to go and have a look.
Yeah.
We've done a lot, and we continue to do a lot of returfing of graves in certain areas, and we do a lot of backfilling. That's the role of the maintenance team. But if there's one that's higher up, it might be that there was recently an additional burial there. If there was only a kind of marker there, potentially the headstone's been removed, and then there'd be more work.
Yeah, there was a cross. I mean, the bit that was across had just disappeared.
Okay, we'll have a look at it.
With the name, I think, of that person, the surname, which I'll give you off screen. And the other one, yet again, we've got beer cans. You know, I can't work these people out who take a can of beer, take the top off, and put it at the side of the headstone. You know,
Not taking a drink for the guy.
well,
Councillor Rogers, you wish to come in?
I'm not saying a lunatic, but you know,
Meeting, please. Councillor Rogers, you want to come in?
I know when Ken's finished on that one, yeah.
Have you finished now, Mr. Mayor?
yeah, I think you're getting the gist of what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think we are. We've got the gist of that. To be investigated. Councillor Rogers.
Yeah, another quick one, I guess you're aware of. Anyway, on the new burial ground, in front of the disabled parking where the wooden fence is broken down and put back, it's broken down again. You know that one, do you? Okay.
Who are you looking at?
That's what I was looking at, chats, they both have it, to be fair.
Yeah, the disabled space, the new burial ground.
On the new burial ground, the Woodhouse burial ground, where the disabled parking is.
Yeah.
Wooden fence in front of the disabled.
Yeah.
Which has been broken down.
Yeah.
Put back.
Yeah.
Broken down again.
Yeah, I've instructed the maintenance team.
Okay, yeah.
Thank you. Right, okay, you're happy with that?
Councillor Yates.
Councillor Yates, you wish to speak?
Yes, when you go into the town burial ground, when you go to the roundabout to the bottom. Right at the bottom, there's a tree immediately in front of you. The grave's just slightly to the southeast of that. There's quite a few which are actually sunken and were pooling with water the other day when I went down there. If there's any chance of having a look to see if those can be sort of and levelled, it would be nice.
Yeah, can be done. Thank you. We all finished now?
Has anyone got any comments about the actual audit?
Any comments at all?
Anything, everyone?
Everything's looks fine.
Councillor Holsworth?
It's your form to fill in to get the grade bigger than 6'6". Does it need one?
But you need.
But we have a section allocated for people who are longer or wider. And we'll
Yes.
have that conversation with the field director.
Councillor
In
Harper?
many
You want
years.
to come back?
Yeah, all I'm gonna say is, I think to accept the audit, I think it's a first-rate report. And it looks very good on the canvas.
Yes, I think so.
So, you know,
Yeah, so everybody's happy with that? Good, thank you. We move on to approve the amendments to the burial ground policies. Chief Officer.
So you've got the burial
It's in your
policy.
pack.
It's a significant number of pages. Obviously, with policies, when we make an amendment, we put that in red. So, do you want me to go through that on a page by page or assume that it has been read?
I've read them, I think they're.
Just have one quick question.
Yeah.
May, it's on, somewhere, it's on a little bit, yeah, you've got to wait for one of the council officers to get it. Has that been a problem? Have they actually started?
Page are you on, sorry?
Sorry, I'm on page 5.
Right.
Has it been an issue where the funeral director actually started
Yeah.
before we've been there?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it has.
Okay, but
It's historic. It's more than historic. It must be a complete pain.
We've been looking at, if I may, Chair, sorry.
Yes, absolutely.
Section A3 again, which is one of the appendices. It's about the memorials. My hope is you haven't noticed a couple of typos, but we have. So if you're happy enough, we'll just amend a
You
couple of
amend the typos,
typos that
yeah.
are in the A3
I
section.
did spot them, I didn't want to.
Yeah, no, that I appreciate that. Thanks. That's really kind. So we'll just, they're not in red at the moment, but if you're happy to only
It's-
changing
it's-
typos rather than content,
It's the deliberate mistake
thank you.
to see whether you're all awake.
So if you're happy with that, that's the policy that we're proposing, obviously, we've put to be confirmed there in terms of a review date. I think it's probably beneficial to come back to you annually with that. It's a big
Yeah.
piece of work for us.
Are you
We
happy
might
with
just
it?
say
Move it.
there's no changes.
Move it. Seconded. All those in favour? Right, good. Now, we move on to 79. Receive a verbal update on the development of the new Gardener Remembrance. Chief Officer.
Thank you. Yeah, so just to confirm, following previous discussions, I've instructed CTD to start to put together some proposals for you. So my hope is that we'll have those, if not next meeting, the meeting after. We have come across, as we wondered if we might, a slight issue in that there doesn't seem to be an apologies if I don't say this quite right, a topographical survey, which I believe is to do with the levels of the land and
Topography of the land.
yes, I know, but I just, there must be more. I think there's more to it than that. So there doesn't seem to have been that piece of work done. So we haven't got a copy of that from when the burial ground was kind of went through the planning process to start with. So we're going to have to commission that piece of work separately. So
Right.
unfortunately, I think that's just
Councillor Jackson.
Yeah, just wondering, how are we on time pressures for filling up the other one?
We're okay, yeah.
Close, isn't it, I think?
I think we want spades in the ground this year. on that section.
Yeah,
So
I think
I
so.
think we're moving towards that, but we'll have to, as I say, we'll have to do this additional piece of work, the survey, but the architects are to kind of identify appropriate people for us to do that.
Right, thank you. Any further comments on that? No? Okay. Item 80, jobs for the Lanksman. This is the Councillor Yates, Councillor Jones, Councillor Yates first.
Yes, thanks you to the chief officer for sorting out that wrapping round. He's actually done it, yes. So we're giving on that. Have you been able to speak to the tree chap about sorting out that one tree with two trees which are causing an issue, which we approved for work a couple of sessions ago on Meadows Way?
Yeah, I think we said we'd seek advice on that. I've got that, send that to you.
And the only other thing is that on the footpath going up Meadows Way from the Sainsbury's roundabout up to the alley roundabout, there is a bush which is encroaching over 50% of the footpath. Now, I was looking at it for a little bit of fettling work, and I was going, call me Lone Ranger over there to actually do it. However, it would appear there's a new nest towards the back of it. So I think it is a problem. I was just wondering whether it could be sensitively trimmed on the path side, but I don't think it just needs a sort of belt and braces. But I did note the nest, it is a new nest, so I think we might have to do the blue.
Yeah,
But whether
it's not a thing.
A little bit of trimming back, I don't know, but
If it's a pigeon, they go on until November
it
and
doesn't look like, to be honest, it looks like a blackbird's nest or a songthrush's nest. It's a proper construction, a proper bowl construction.
Nice to see.
Councillor Jones, then Councillor Harper. Councillor Jones.
I just wanted to say thank you to Chief Officer and to Margaret for organising the Landsman to put our village green ahead of the Easter service. Even though Chief Officer was on holiday, which she managed to approve it. And I just wanted to ask, if I may, there's the Easter service and the well dressing, and for each one the grass needs to look nice. It never falls within the schedule for Stafford District Council. They've always been becoming the next week, or they've been 3 weeks early. I just wondered, would it be possible if we put those 2 dates in a calendar so we get it done as a sort of couple of days before those dates? It's only 2 episodes a year, it doesn't take long, it's expensive.
Okay.
With council permission, I think if we could do that, I'd be really grateful.
I'm more than happy with that. I think the only issue is that because we're not really involved in either event. I should know when Easter is, but and I don't always know when well dressing is. You need to prompt me. Yeah.
Councillor
That's
Harper.
fine, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Going back to the Landsman, and we mentioned earlier on about some guttering in the visitor centre. How do you repair that?
I have asked the question.
Sorry?
I have asked the question, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right, you're still waiting.
So I think he has certain specialisms, doesn't he? And I think
Yes.
we probably, what we are missing as a town council is somebody who can do kind of handy person services. That's what
Yes.
we really.
Anybody who knows anybody.
When we get this handy person scheme set up.
I could do with a gutter at my house. Councillor Jones.
Just quickly, I'll just on the back of what Sarah's just said, I think you're right. I think there's a couple of jobs. I mean, there's the phone box up at Biddle Park. Badly needs to go paint.
Yeah.
And I know that the Lanksman did Biddle Moor one, but he didn't enjoy doing it, and he don't want to do another one. We do badly need a handyman, don't we? And if anybody's watching this now that knows anybody, ring the town hall.
And there's enough of us here to know somebody somewhere, and it's finding the right person who's got the kit and the time and the expertise to do it.
Yeah, but what sort of hours would its handyman do? It would be as and when required, or
And when required, and probably fit it in with other jobs that they do for the general public.
If I may, that person would have to be self-employed and have their own levels of insurance.
Yeah.
suitable experiences. It can't just be somebody who's just quite good at odd jobs. It's,
We need one,
yeah, we do.
sure.
We do, and that's a task, isn't it? Which I'm sure you will take on, Chief Officer. Absolutely. Right, so that's it. Thank you very much for the, I'm going to move into confidential now.
Yes.